So a quick interesting fact, Central Park, there was actually a contest when it was being built for who would design it, and the winner won $2,000.
Damn, you stole my introduction.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. No, but that's awesome when you have a guest come on and they do your introduction for you. You don't even have to look up a fact.
Yeah, I
I'll
might
get
as
one at the
well
end though,
be
unless you
talking
have
to
another one.
right now off the top of my
Well,
head.
no, but we'll save it for later.
Okay.
That's how we finish it off. We start it and finish it off. Usually people do a lot of music intros, but I want to be different.
Mhm.
I want to just be like, oh, that's a mind-blowing fact.
Yeah.
Hopefully people like that fact. But welcome, Elia. So you reached out to me for the first podcast I have. If you guys, the listeners, don't know, I had a podcast before this called Unknown Knowledge. Basically, I had a really good reason to stop college, and I needed a good reason to stop college. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. So I told my parents, I was like, oh, I got a really good idea. I'll create a podcast. Hopefully it'll go viral, and I'll just be bringing people on with different college majors, and then I won't have to go to school. But sadly, I didn't really get to that point where I could just stop everything and just do the podcast. Hopefully this is the one. That would be dope. So basically, Elia reached out to me. He was like, yo, this is a cool podcast. I want to come on. And, the other day, I uploaded this on Instagram, if you guys didn't see, and he liked it. And I was like, oh, I got to DM Elia right now. He's got to come on. So here you are.
Yes, here I am. And I was, really happy that you reached out to me, because when I first saw you posted it, I was really, interested in coming on again for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to seem too eager. So, I held out a little bit. But I'm really glad that you DM'd me so I could come on.
Yeah. It's awesome. And, like, if anybody DMs me and they want to come on,
Right.
I'll totally be wide open to taking anybody on. But anyway, we got to get to the actual journal prompt today. So this journal prompt I actually got from my sister, because I was like, oh, I'm doing a podcast tonight. And she's like, oh, you need a journal prompt? And I was like, well, that basically is the podcast. So, yeah. And she flipped through her book, because she has a whole book of just journal prompts.
Wow. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, I should get one of those, but I just use the internet for now. So the question is, what gets your inner child excited and makes you feel alive? Once again, what gets your inner child excited and makes you feel alive? So I'm going to give you guys a minute right now. Think about it for a whole 60 seconds, and then if you guys want to skip it, you could always skip it, but if you want to think for a quick minute, do so. All right, we're back. So, what gets your inner child excited and makes you feel alive? First of all, I think we need to dissect what an inner child is. Because when I first heard this,
Yeah.
I was like, what even is your inner child? I didn't even look up the definition.
Right.
I probably should have.
Yeah.
Should have done my homework. But I kind of have a few ideas. Do you want to share first, or do you want me to go first about what your inner child?
Just because I never even looked that up either. I'm not exactly sure the exact definition, but off the top of my head, I just feel like it's, like that feeling you get, like at Christmas, you like open up presents.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, it's not the same as it was when you opened it. You were 5, 6, 7 years old. Like it was I guess it's the purity of it. Like
100%,
that's what I think is the inner child. Like just you focused on that one thing, and it's like the rest of the world doesn't exist.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. So the first way I looked at it was like who you truly are. Like your inner child is your personality in a way. But then my sister was saying how your inner child is what like represents you as your age wise. So like for me personally, I don't think I'm a normal 20-year-old, just because I'll give you a few examples. So I have a lumbar support in my car just so I don't hurt my lower back. So, like, I'm preserving my lower back by not crouching, basically. Well, not crouching, hunching my back. And then also I have earplugs for work. Like, sometimes during the birthday parties, the music gets a little loud. And I just put them in because I don't want to be deaf by, like, 35. So, like, I have a few ways of looking at it. And I don't know which way to go, but I feel like they're kind of intertwined, like your personality and, like, your actual age inside of you, because there are a lot of people who are like, oh man, I'm still like a kid at this point.
No, I understand. I mean, like, it's funny you say that, because recently, like, I can't remember the exact situation, but my girlfriend calls me an old man. Like, she says I act like an old man. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not even 21 yet, so I take it a little bit to heart, but I know I'm in my prime, so it's nothing like that. But I understand what she means. It's like sometimes certain people see things from a different perspective, which others might think like, oh well, that's like how old people look at it or younger people look at it.
Definitely. That's mad funny. I get called an old man like constantly. Like there's not a week that goes by that someone's not like, yo bro, you're such an old man at this point. Like they look in my car, they're like, what is that on your seat? And I'm like, bro, don't you care about your body and your lower back?
I mean,
and they're like, yeah, but like I don't do that. But yeah, it's very different. But let's see, what gets my inner child excited? I don't really know, to be honest with you. This is kind of like what happened in episode 2. So when I brought on Joe Boxer, we kind of had like a way of speaking where it was like a math formula, like a word problem that like we kept just bouncing ideas off of each other. And by the end of the podcast, like we figured out the answer to the question. It was it was like, what is your definition of success? So we started off differently. No, it's crazy, bro. Like you think about these things, like if you're just in a normal conversation, you don't think like thoroughly of like all the different scenarios, but it just like naturally comes out. And then once you really think about it, like your answers are just a little bit more articulate, and then you just go from there. It's really cool. But what gets you excited? Don't even worry about the inner child at this point. What makes you excited and happy and stuff like that?
I know this is gonna sound very typical, but food would probably be like top 2. It's for me. It's comedy or humor, however you want to formulate the word. It's that and food. Those are like the 2 things that I feel like in my life will just always like, quote unquote, be there for me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, comedy is awesome.
Right.
Honestly, like when I'm listening to something and it's funny and it's making me, that's why I'm like kind of addicted to Twitter at this point, because you just keep scrolling and like, yeah, there might be like, I like sports and shit, so like I got a lot of sports stuff on there, but there are so many funny things. And like you just consistently laugh. But I understand like food, 100%. Obviously food, definitely food, because it definitely is a necessity. And then when you have good taste in your mouth, obviously, like it gets you excited. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have ice cream later.
I think it's also about, every individual can see it differently, because for me, it's like for comedy, I find it super interesting the way stories that are being told, or jokes or scenarios or skits that are being shown or represented, how they connect with everybody. Like, we're all laughing at this, but I'm laughing at it for a different reason than you might be. So it's very interesting to me how they are doing one thing, but we are all seeing it completely differently.
Wait, don't you didn't you have a YouTube channel where you
I still do.
Nice.
I'll give a little shout out since you opened me up. I wasn't going to, but
Oh my gosh, always plug yourself.
you
Come
know,
on.
like I made like I know I want to call them vlogs, but they're like a hybrid of like your your everyday vlog and kind of like a video small film type style that I like to shoot in. I did like 13 of them, and then alongside those I did do a couple of short films. Nothing too long, like I think 5 or 6 minutes was like the longest one. And more recently, this is my last cinema class I'm taking this semester. We've been making a lot of videos in class with our groups, and I've been just posting them on the channel, just because why not? They've only been for the class, but I figured put them up there and just have something to look back at. But ever since I did that, I've done that with 2 videos now the past 2 weeks. A lot of people have been like sending me messages about them, like, oh, those videos are
That's
great,
awesome.
like really funny stuff, I love them. Is there another one coming out? And it's making me like miss those days where like I was like doing this like every week. Like I used to say like, oh, new videos every week.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't said that in months.
No, that's so funny. Yeah, that's the same thing with this podcast. Like I totally miss just bringing people on, seeing different perspectives of everything.
Right.
That's what I love to hear, like different perspectives, seeing how people look at things and say like, oh, this is actually worth my time and stuff like that. It's really cool to see that. But that's so cool that you're still doing the YouTube videos. You should definitely keep up with it.
Yeah,
because if your inner child is like,
right.
yo, I love comedy. I think what you're trying to get at is you love how they start whatever it is. Say it's like a joke.
Yeah.
You love how they get through that whole storyline instead of it just being like, oh, why did this happen?
Right.
And then it's like, why? And then you say the punchline.
Exactly.
It's more of like, hey, you can make me laugh with feeling like it's a conversation.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that, especially like I've actually started listening to more podcasts, specifically,
comedy?
Comedic ones, or like based off of like YouTube personalities that I watch that are like, oh, now we're doing podcasts because like everyone's getting into new media formats. And it's very interesting because it's almost like a different side from like the YouTube perspective.
100%, yeah.
I know there's podcasts that are also visual, like they set up a camera, you can see them, but it still feels the same way. Like, oh, you're just having a conversation and there's all these stories being told and jokes and this and that. But it's completely different watching a video because I feel like it's so much more technical. It's not just like coming out of your brain. It's like written down and there's all that work that goes into it. But podcasts just feel so natural.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just a conversation.
Right.
And it's just going back and forth, and you realize how funny they are without trying to be funny.
Right.
And it's awesome that they could like put it all into those conversations. It sucks that it's like a saturated market because it's like TV shows now.
Yeah, I understand. It's hard for people what it is. It's the time and day we live in. Like this generation relies so much on visual. They want something that'll grab them, and that's why a lot of these famous people that are doing podcasts started doing more of visual and talking, not just the audio of it, because not as many people want to just listen to them. They want to see them, because then they think about their faces when they're thinking about the stories, and it's a whole interpersonal thing.
No, I totally feel you because I'm definitely a visual learner.
Yeah.
And when you put basically like you could read a person's face and see their emotion with how they're talking.
It helps a lot. It really just makes you more understanding of what it is they're talking about, and you feel more intelligent and aware about the conversation.
Yeah, what's so funny? Like you don't realize how smart these YouTubers are until you listen to their podcast. Like when I started listening to just random people, like I would just be like, oh, whatever. They're just famous because they could act or whatever.
Right.
But they're actually very smart and mentally strong. That's the difference. Like they're so mentally strong because they're going through audition after audition after audition, and you just learn so much, and they meet so many different people, so they have so many different perspectives. Yeah. That probably is my inner child thing, different perspectives.
Yeah, that's actually really good because I see that. Like I've realized that over the I want to say past 5 years, the way YouTube as a platform has grown is crazy. Like so many
Insane.
people used to say like, "Oh, you're a YouTuber," but now it's like, imagine I could be a YouTuber. You
Bro,
know,
it's
like
sick.
you know, you're doing something you love. You're creating this content you love, and you know, you're not gonna make videos about doing something you don't like. So
Exactly, yeah.
automatically, it's going to be something you enjoy, and then if you get to the point of, you know, making huge amounts of profit from it, it's like having that dream job you always thought about, but not worrying all about the college stuff and all these other things that take into the factor. Like there's no
with all that type of stuff.
Right.
So when I get to that point and I'm like, oh wow, I'm being really creative, that's probably another thing with the inner child. I don't know. I just really, this is what's so cool about this, because I really want to figure out like what excites me the most
Right.
at this point. But I really feel like the creativity, I'm forced to do it, and I'm actually enjoying it a lot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, whenever I make videos like in my classes, we are presented with a sort of structure that we have to do for the video, but it's kind of very simple. Like from what we've done is just my teacher saying like, I just want these types of shots in your video. But other than that, we are, you know, we have that creative freedom, and it just becomes whatever we want it to be. So I feel like you don't really get that a lot in life. You know, there's so many rules, restrictions. We're so confined in society, and when we're given that kind of opportunity, I feel like for me, it really brings out that feeling alive, inner child kind of feeling.
Yeah, isn't it so weird?
Yeah, it's just, you don't even, and the crazy part is nobody thinks about it. Like
No.
when I'm in that situation and those feelings, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just so in that moment that it's not until maybe a day after or 2 days or a week where I'm thinking back to it like, oh man, that was a good day, you know? And now every other day of the week is like shit. So
Yeah. What do you mean, like when you're making the video?
yeah, it's like a week after the video was made, you know, I wasn't making videos every day that week. It was just that Monday.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking back like, oh, that Monday was so good, but what happened Tuesday? Like I don't remember what happened Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. You know?
No. Sometimes it is an overload though with like the creativity. But that's so cool. Like, wait, give an example of like what they would tell you to do for the shots.
So examples would be like we would get a piece of paper that has the prompt of like, okay, you're creating a 3-minute video, and it could portray whatever you want as long as it shows a medium shot, long shot, close up of a character. There has to be dialogue, you know, and then it's like anything like effects, music, or stuff like that is optional. It gives us that freedom there. And then equipment we have to use, that is part of the prompt. Like, oh, you need to use this lighting or these types of dollies, you know.
Wait, I thought you were a communications major.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's funny because I don't know if it's like this in any other college, but for CSI, from what I know, my major has my required courses that I need to take for the 120 credits. And inside those courses are, I want to say, 70% communications or some kind of classes that go into that. And then it's all cinema classes. I think it's because my
Your minor?
No, the focus, my communications focus is media studies.
Ah, okay.
So there is media studies, there's journalism, there's design and digital media, and corporate communications. So I'm doing media studies. So I feel like because it's that specification of the major, it gives me those options for classes. And although my job might not be director, you know, or I'm going to be making movies, I think just what I'm learning and the kind of, personalities we're creating and stuff is helpful in everything else to do with communications, because communications is very broad and there is a lot to learn for that,
for that major. Yeah, whenever I hear of a communications major,
right,
I'm always like, what is it? Like, what do you even do? Like, okay, communications. So first thing I get from it is just the name, communications.
right.
are you practicing communicating?
Yeah.
Like, that's the first thing that
We
comes
just sit
to
in
your mind.
class and just talk to each other.
Converse,
the whole class.
master the art of conversation.
Yeah.
That's something that, I mean, with this, like, I've definitely improved, but even just with work, like, I love conversating with people now, because on the spot, like, I can definitely think of something to talk about, even if I don't know that person now. I'm getting a lot better, which is really cool. Improvement in my life is something that it really excites me.
Right.
I love seeing myself sticking with a plan, being consistent with it, and getting better.
Right.
Because you don't really have that determination when you're younger, but when you get older, like, it doesn't hurt your ego as much when you fail.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to say is, you mentioned you're not really thinking about it as a kid. I feel like it's because we're not expected a lot of, people don't expect a lot from us when we're kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's this setting up of the future they have for us, but they're like, because they're kids right now, they don't really need to tap into it. I feel like, I don't know, personally, like, in the future, one day, I'm sure I'm going to have my own family and kids. I'm going to be the type of father that, gives those options to my kids early, because I don't want them to hit an age and just be like, whoa, now I have to do all this stuff.
What do you mean give them an option?
Like, I want them to be more informed of the future for their own sakes. Like,
oh, like, when they grow up, like,
right.
This is what you're really going to be doing.
Exactly. Like, I know it sounds kind of like, oh, let them live their kid lives. Mm-hmm. You're going to be taking that away from them. It's like, but I'm not making them do anything. I'm just telling them about it. So it's like, it's still their choice to either enjoy, because of course, they're still kids. They're going to think, well, I'm having fun playing my games. Why would I start studying more? I'm not going to make them study more.
Yeah, it's all about your interests.
Right.
It's tough to tell, like, when we were younger and they were like, yo, read a book.
Right.
You're like, well, the books that I've had to read sucked. Like, I'm forced to read on this reading level because
remember reading levels?
Yeah, like, oh, you're a G reading level, so you can't go anything lower. Like, you can't enjoy a book that's easier for you to read. You have to always keep pushing yourself to that next level. And it's so annoying because, like, maybe I wanted to read, I don't know, an F book.
Right.
And that F book would have been a little bit easier, but I would have had a lot more interest.
Exactly. And that helps you understand, either maybe I want to pursue something that has to do with these things now.
Yeah.
Because if it just seems like something that's always pushing against you, it's like, I don't want to do this. But what if you actually did want to do it, but it just came at you the wrong way?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So many times.
Right.
I mean, I was definitely, like, I'm trying to get into reading now. And I've realized, like, what type of reading style I like. I like shorter stories or, like, shorter articles that I could just read and think deeply about and analyze. Because when I have a book that's, like, 500 pages, even though, like, it could be split up into, like, 50 sections, it's just that it's 500 pages.
Right.
Like, if I want to get through this book, I'm going to have to read every single day. I have to read 20 pages a day, no matter what. And, like, sometimes you're just not in the flow of it.
Yeah, and it becomes like a job, Like,
oh my
you
gosh,
start looking at it as extra stress, anxiety. Like, you don't want to put yourself
not at all
in that circle. Like, if it comes to you in a better presented way, you at least don't feel attacked by it. You feel like, okay, I see what you're showing me, and now I have to think about it a little bit, and I'm either going to go for it or not. At the end of the day, you feel like you have that majority decision. Like, you're not just, oh, I have to do this now.
No, yeah, that's definitely something that could connect to this with the inner child. Like, your interest is everything.
Yep.
Because when you grow up, people aren't like, hey, what are your interests? They're like, what do you want to do?
Right.
And you're like, I don't know, what do I want to do? Like, I don't know, I guess go play video games, watch TV. But like when you say, like, what are your interests? They're like, I like math because I like this part. Right. Like, you're not getting that full thing out of them. It's so strange to see that, like, everyone's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Instead of like, oh, what are your interests? Tell me what you like. Open up to me what you feel.
You know what? you're making me think of something. I mean, I don't want to come at every parent in the world right now, but
you definitely can.
You know what? It's just like, I feel like if we paid attention more, like I know parents say, "Oh, I raised my kids right. They don't do wrong things."
Every parent says that. It's so funny.
But I know you did those things, but those are the textbook things. Everybody knows that. I'm not going to teach my kids to steal. Like we know that already. You need to connect with your kids in a way that helps you understand more of who they want to be. Because like, and I don't want to come at my own parents now, but they ask me all the time, "What do you want to do?" Like, wow, you've known me for 20 years and you still don't think you know what I want to do? Like, I shouldn't, I feel like if I'm raising somebody for 20 years, I might have some idea of who they want to be as a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not 5 years old, it's 20 now.
Yeah, like, oh, wow, Elia has been doing videos on his camera for really long.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to do videos. Elia, I think your concentration should be corporate communications instead of media. What type of job are you going to get with media?
Right.
And like, I totally understand that. And I just looking back at the question, it says what gets your inner child excited and makes you feel alive.
Right.
Like what you were saying before, Monday was awesome. It made me feel great. Right. I was alive. Yep. Tuesday sucked. Yeah. What was I doing? Too.
Exactly.
And like it's so crazy, but like I guess you could say like your interests are basically like your inner child in a way, but it's also like I really think it's still like your personality too.
I agree. When you mentioned about who you want to be, I don't know if it was you or what your sister said. But
on the first one?
No, the inner child is who you want to be.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like I agree with that because it's like a subconscious thing, You're not I'm not making videos and like, "Oh, I want to do this." But like subconsciously, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it, I'm not saying it, but I know deep down I would love to be that person.
Yeah, subconscious thoughts are very interesting because it's very hard to get subconscious thoughts out of your system. I mean, it takes you a really long time, or you gotta do like some psychedelics or something like that.
Right. Listen, I mean, it's just because the world we live in today, nothing is so open like that. We grew up learning all these things of what to be and what not to be, that it's so hard for us to be who we are. Like I know it sounds kind of vague like that, but it's like, if you love to do something, you're passionate about it, you shouldn't let your parents or your teacher or people on the street or your friends talk to you about that thing as if it's not something that you should be doing. You need to do what you want and think is right for you, because if you don't, you're never gonna feel that inner child being alive, excited. You're gonna feel Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Wow, what a quote, man. I wish I could just like print that out, just like put it up on my wall. I wish I could like get a whole studio down
Listen
here. Like I just got a pull-up bar basically and a dip bar, but like I wish I could like put quotes from like all these episodes and just fucking put them up. That'd be cool. That'd be so cool.
I just want to say real quick to future people that are on this podcast, I'm sitting on the couch right now. So don't stress yourself out and sit on that damn chair. Enjoy this comfortable couch. I'm relaxing and having a nice conversation.
Yo, honestly, like you looked at the chair, you were like, "Fuck that, bro. There's a huge ass couch right there."
And listen, from the last time I was here, I sat in the chair, and I mean, it's not a problem. I don't want to get into this whole chair versus couch conflict. But, it's like ever since I started taking communications in all these classes, specifically this semester, I have a media analysis class that I'm taking. And I've really, like, opened up my eyes to a lot in my life. Specifically, like, the way I've been doing things and the way I see things, the way things are presented to me, I've just like not had a first interaction. I've just left it there, thought about it as much as I could, analyzed the shit out of it, and then made some kind of decision or thought, because, we can't always trust the first instinct. I know people say you got to trust your instincts, but instinct is not your instinct. It's because of what you've grown to be, like what people have told you to feel like or think like.
Yeah, it's not your instinct, it's your gut decision.
Right.
When you have that gut decision, and like even when you're looking it over, say I don't know, say you have a homework assignment,
Right.
you got to answer a question, and like obviously like it's gonna be graded on like how thought out it is,
Right.
and like you could go one route, but you know that the other route, even though it's unconventional, you're like, okay, like I could definitely write more of this. Will the
Yeah.
teacher like it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But if you continue that way, like that's kind of what I do now. I just
Right.
base everything off of my gut decision. Like I love taking advice from people, but I also think I learn a lot more just from my own actions because
Right.
I learn so much more. Like if I asked you like, okay, like what's the best camera that I should get? Like what operating system to edit should I get?
Right.
And you tell me, "Oh, you could just use I don't know, whatever Final Cut Pro." Say
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Whatever.
Say I buy Final Cut Pro and I'm like, this shit sucks. Go back to iMovie and I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
Yep.
And it's like that's right back to perspective. Like how can you choose what you want to do correctly with everything that's in front of you?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're like, okay, like I'm giving myself the best opportunity for whatever situation I'm in.
You know, and it's funny you say that because, like, at the end of the day, what are you going to remember? You're going to remember something you told yourself or something your friend told you last week?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and that brings up such a good point. Like, you become embarrassed when you make a decision and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And that sticks with you.
Yep.
Huge effect. Like, it could be anything so simple. Like, I don't know, you're working... say you work at like Modell's or something and you make a dumb decision in front of your manager and you're like, fuck, like I fucked up.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, like you could have asked somebody else like, oh, like what should I do in this situation? Right. They tell you and they're like, oh, it's not my fault.
Right.
So like,
but I was going to say that even in that situation, you know, it's not good to blame somebody else.
No,
because
never.
You're still the one that made the final decision.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing you to do it.
Nobody.
Just because they gave you that advice doesn't mean they're 100% right or you're 100% wrong. Like, we need to be more aware of things we're doing for ourselves and to other people and to ourselves.
And I feel like when you're in that situation where you have to make the decision, like for me, I would always base my decisions off of other people's thoughts and values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now what I'm doing, I'm finally learning how to base my decisions off of myself. And like I always struggled with confidence when I was younger.
Right.
But that's probably the reason why, because I would look at a person and be like, what should I do in this situation? Right. Instead of me being like, you know what? Maybe for a whole year, I'm going to suck at this shit. I'm going to be so bad. But I'm never going to have to ask anybody else what to do. So I'm just going to go on my merry way and do what I need to do instead of asking somebody like, hey, man, like, I don't know what to do. And, like, you could always ask people.
Yeah, it's never wrong to ask. You know, it's good to want to have that, you know, communication with other people because it could end up being, you know, some kind of advice that you never thought of yourself, but opened you up to thinking about what you actually wanted to do or say, whatever the situation is.
And, you know, there's so many times, like, I'm such a dick in some situations. Yeah. Like, I'll literally hear a person say something, I'll go against it, and then I'll go back and be like, yo, they were so right.
Yep.
But, like, again, when you do it to yourself and you're like, hey, this is the decision that I want to make, you don't feel like it. Like, you don't feel any regret doing it.
Right.
That's what I felt like because I'll give you an example. So I'm really into stock trading right now. Okay. I do a lot of day trading and I practice all the time. And I can go on YouTube and I learn different strategies all the time, which is awesome. That's what you should do. But a lot of people, what they do, they join these chat rooms where they're like, oh, invest in this stock right now. And for me, I never did that. Yeah. And like, I'm in a chat room and like they're calling out stocks and stuff, but if I don't love it, I don't do it. Even if it goes up like $3 and I'm like,
happens, you know, you're not going to think, oh, I should have just listened to them. It's like, because at the end of the day, like, again, you know, who are you going to remember?
Yeah.
It's gotta be from you, because
Like, I'm not gonna remember Joe who was telling me to fucking buy into
I became a millionaire from stocks because Joe said to do it. Joe said to invest in this, and that's why I'm a millionaire. It's like you want it to come from you. Like, no, I did the research. I took the time out of my day to watch videos on how to, be more strategic, and I made those choices based off my interests. That kid version in me. So that's it.
It's so crazy how like everything just comes back. It's kind of like just the loop. Like, like we're almost there. We're almost back to connecting something. It's so cool to just like do that all the time. But yeah, I mean, I love this question because like we could go on and on about this really stuff. Like forever, the inner child is so interesting because like if you had a guess, say it was a specific age that you are like inside of you, what would you say?
I don't know, man.
Like because this is what I think. Yeah, my sister was saying it. Like what's your inner child age? Because there are a lot of people who are like. I was talking to one of the people that go to DJ Got Me Fit where I work, and she's 66. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh man, like I hope I have enough money to last me the rest of my life because some bitch fucking 114, she just passed away. I'm getting 115. I'm getting there." Yeah. And it's so funny because she's like, "Yeah, but like it's all mental. Like right. I'm such a kid at heart."
Yeah, I mean, listen, first I want to ask you, what's the range? Because it's hard. It's a hard question for us because we're only 20 years old. To a lot of people, we could be seen as kids still.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like, okay.
I mean, it's really like yourself the best.
Right.
And like I'm not going to give you a range. You could literally be anything.
That's the only thing.
But the only thing that I have to say is obviously in situations you're different. Like it could literally be like different areas of your life, but also different situations. Like one night, say you go out with your friends, whatever. We're not 21 yet. We still can't go to a bar. But hypothetically,
I've never been to one.
Really? I've been to. I went out twice. What?
I know. I'm just for the record. I've never been to a bar and I've never drank beer.
Yeah, because we're loyal.
Because
we don't.
We
follow
at
heart,
the law.
We're really 20 years old.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's no wonder we're called old men. We know.
We know. We follow the rules and laws. Oh fuck! What were we saying?
No, I mean no. I was.
Oh yeah, the age.
Yeah, it's hard for me because, I want to say like 15 because I know 15 is freshman year in high school. Mm-hmm. It's a new me, because coming off of intermediate school, it's the whole idea of you're in high school now. This is where you make yourself.
Yeah, you're an adult now,
right? Yeah. And you're constantly hearing that. But honestly, I think I want to say freshman year of high school is when at least it started for me. I want to say the 4 years of high school, and I think these 8 years from high school to when I graduate from college is gonna be the inner child in me. Mm-hmm. I don't think anywhere younger than that because, of course.
So you're saying you're 15 from high school to the time that you graduate college, like that's your main age?
I think that's gonna be who I end up being as like a person.
As the rest of your life.
That's it. Yeah, of course,
mindset
changes. Things will change, but at the core, I think that's.
But like you see a ball and you're like, yo, I'm totally into this. Yeah. Like let's fucking throw this shit.
Yeah, man, 100%. I see that every day. It's crazy because, if I'm with my friends or my girlfriend and some kind of situation will happen and automatically I can tell like I'm thinking different than these people. Mm-hmm. Like I want to do this like this and they're like, whoa, we can't do that anymore. Not that it's like illegal or anything, but it's like, oh, we're like 20 now. You can't do this. Like, why not? I want to throw the ball.
Yeah. Like, no, it's so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because we put limitations on ourselves. Yeah. And we put limitations on ages.
That's why I was asking, because that's where it gets hard. Like, when you're 5 years old, when you're 10, 15, 20, it's a whole different mental perspective. And, the older you get, it just keeps changing.
All the time.
It just keeps changing. Like, my mom thinks that, you're not 21 yet, so you don't know what life's like. I'm like, oh, I don't know what life's like.
I have 20 years.
I've known since like 15, to be honest with you. But...
Yeah, but it's so funny because whenever you get older, you're like, Man, I was so fucking stupid.
Yeah. That's never going to stop.
Oh my
It's
God,
crazy
no,
until we get to the age where we become stupider. You know? And they're like, oh, man, I used to be so smart.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you're like 85 and like your dementia's starting to kick in,
Yep.
you're like, oh man, like I can't even remember what I did 2 minutes ago.
Remember, I remember when I knew what day it was. Like,
Yo, wait, what year is it?
Yeah,
Fuck. Yo, I thought we were in 2087.
it's funny that because we're joking about that, but we realize, of course, there's other reasons for it. But people don't celebrate their birthdays as much when they get older. It's always other people doing it for them.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, grandpa walks in. It's like, oh, happy birthday, surprise. He's like, oh, shit, it's my birthday, one. And two, it's like, I don't want to know my age. Like, why are you telling me?
People are so weird about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. If I was 81, turning 82,
I'd be like skydiving or something.
I'd be like, yo, I'm hyped. Like, I'm celebrating 82 motherfucking years of life.
That's what I'm saying. You need to enjoy the time you have.
Yeah.
People don't realize how fast
Like,
our lives fly by.
Yeah, I made it another year. Like, go celebrate. Go do something. But birthdays are really weird. Like, that's where your kind of inner child comes out. Like, if you're, I mean, it's also perspective on life.
Of course.
But mainly, like, if you're trying to have, like, a fun party with all family and friends like that, that's like a 15-year-old, like, right there. Mainly, a lot of, I see, like, a lot of females doing that. A lot more females are, like, into it.
What's the age that the balloons stop? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The balloons never
senior
stop.
thesis about it.
Yo, the balloons stop at, like, 21.
You
and
think
then
so?
they start again at 30, stop at 30, start again at 40, stop at 40.
Just 22 is just a weird number. It's like, well, 21 was cool because that's like the age.
Yeah.
But it's like, why'd you get me balloons for 22? But you liked them last year.
Yo,
like,
27, you're getting me
balloons?
balloons?
No, stop it.
30! Look at this.
30, bring the balloons.
Yo, everybody, picture on 30 right now. And it's so weird because, like, like, that shouldn't stop. But people, they're like, oh, like, 29, it's whatever. 30 next year will be a cool birthday party because, like, it's a whole, like, we're rounding up to that zero. Like, what? Like, you're...
Like, this is my third decade of being alive, It's like, it's a big deal for me, so... really quick thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
My girlfriend actually pointed this out to me. We're the generation that lived through 3 centuries, right? Because 1999, so the 90th century, 2000s, and 10.
Oh, okay. And we're about to go 4 then.
Well, I mean, we were born with the... I don't know. I forgot. Maybe I'm just saying this wrong.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whoever's listening, I'm sure you guys know, and we don't right now, but...
I looked at it.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I was scrolling through. I looked at it, and I was like, oh... And I just went right back. I was like, yo, that's cool.
Sports comedy.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool and all, but, like, to be honest with you, like, that's like a statistic that they use in sports. They're like, I watched this really funny video the other day, and they were just making fun about it. They're like, LeBron James is the only LeBron on the 7th day of December to wear his shorts backwards by accident and then turn them around and then score a basketball in the basket. And you're like, and like that's what people are starting to do now with those stupid facts. They're like, oh wow, you lived through 3 centuries.
They're running out of things to happen. Like oh my god, another crazy thing is, like, I know it's a little bit off topic, but
bro, this whole thing's basically off topic.
You should call it off topic.
Off topic.
Next podcast name.
Yeah.
Off topic.
When this one burns and fails, I'll be like, yeah, guys, it's my 3rd podcast now.
3rd time's a charm. We're gonna.
That's
call
actually
it.
A really cool name for a podcast.
Off topic.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna trademark it now while I can.
Yo, I was so surprised there wasn't like a journal prompt type of thing. I thought some like hippie person would be like,
already on
yo,
that.
like, welcome to journal prompts, man. Like, are you ready to get deep in conversation? And you're just like, oh, I guess.
No, but listen, podcast as popular as it has gotten, there is still so much for it to grow.
So much more room.
It's
like these stats. Like, you never thought they would be talking about 3 centuries.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, we got off topic from your off topic. What were you about to say?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure. What with the inner child, right? Or
wait, no, you said this is kind of off topic, and then I brought you to a different.
Oh, right. It's just crazy because when I think about it, like, we constantly think, this is the generation to be in, so much is happening, but there's been so much happening,
every generation,
right? So I don't know, like, I just feel like people focus so much on the future.
Oh my God. Oh, so much on the future. And like I've definitely gotten to that point where I've been like, because that's all they talk about. They're like, all right, what are you doing next? What are you doing next?
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, chill out for a second.
Let me finish the now.
I want to finish, like, because like, I want to see where my life takes me with, because right now all I'm doing, it's like I'm interested in this, putting in my life.
Right.
Like, I'm interested in podcasts. I'm going to implement that shit in my life.
Yeah.
I'm interested in personal training and stuff like that into my life. And I'm going to keep it until it eventually fails, or I'm going to keep it until it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
And I like, I support you so much with all this, especially, the podcast and personal training, because, I just like the fact that you're showing it on social media. Because, like, when I see that, I'm like, wow, like, I don't like personal training. Like, I'm not trying to do that. But this podcast, super interesting to me now. But, like, now, because of you doing something you love, it's making me think, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start making videos again.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing something he loves. Like, I want to do something I love. Why am I just sitting on my couch right now, like, not doing anything?
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, I've had people before. They're like, because when I was training for the marathon, like, I would post shit constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I would always be on my shit. And it was really not because to just, like, show people, like, my times and stuff like that, but it's also just to capture everything, because I delete all my shit off my phone. So if it's on Instagram, like, I could go back and look at it. And people are like, yo, you inspired me to, like, go do something today. Like, you inspired me to, instead of being lazy, like, I got through that. I pushed through that barrier that was killing me, that I couldn't get through. And it's so like heartwarming after a while. And you're like, that also excites me. That makes me feel alive. When, like, I want to be some type of influencer on people. I want to be able to say something and change, like, I just want to change one person's life. Yeah. That's my goal. Like, if I could change one person's life, then that goes to 2. It keeps multiplying after a while, and it's so awesome.
The best part is you didn't start thinking that way. You started with, I want to do this for me.
Yeah.
This is something I, I'm passionate about and I love or I enjoy. You don't even have to be, like, crazy about it. It starts with the interest. Again, that's such a great point. It really just starts with what's interesting to you. And it became this influential thing to other people now, and you never meant for it, but because you experienced that, now you're thinking, well, I could do something I love and then make people love what they're doing too. That's amazing.
No, it's such a different feeling. It's awesome. And, like, when you just base your life off of interest, like, I used to give myself anxiety because I was like, I always have to be productive. I have to do things that, are going to lead me to a better future or make me money. Like, that's what I thought life was.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy.
It was basically because, like, oh, what are you doing since you're not going to college? What are you doing? What are you doing?
What's next? What's next? Yeah.
And, like, that gave me so much anxiety. And then when I started to slow down and, like, oh, I'm going to look at this YouTube video that's funny because I'm interested in that. And, like, it's actually really helped me. I feel so much better, so much relieved, because I was doing stuff that I was like, I don't want to do this right now.
Right.
And like, it's annoying because sometimes you're forced to do things. Like, there's always gonna be things that you don't want to do.
Right.
But once you get past that and be like, mainly the things that you don't want to do, like, you're tired, you don't want to go to work right now. All right, whatever. Like, I'll suck it up. Like, I gotta do it. But, like, for me, work, it's pretty fun. Like, I go, I train some people, I talk to them, I make them feel better. Like, that's what's awesome.
Right.
They come in, they're like, yo, I didn't even want to come today.
Yeah.
And then after, I'm like, I'm sure you'll feel awesome. And then they walk out, they're like, like, that was awesome. I released all that energy. And now they're feeling so much better. And even, like, we do birthday parties and stuff. Like, making a 6-year-old kid have a really fun time for their birthday party with all the other kids. Like, obviously they go to school and stuff, so, like, they're going to be like, oh, I had the coolest birthday party. Like, it really means something to them.
I agree.
Nice.
I mean, you know, for me, it's like two things I wanted to say. Because you were like, you know, you stopped going to college. I'm still in college. I'm almost done.
That's crazy, bro.
That's what I'm saying, you know?
It's
like,
so fast. Like,
people, like, I know, you know, plenty of people that dropped out. I know plenty of people that took years off or multiple years off here and there. You know, like, I have people in my classes that I've never spoken to, but I just know that this is their third year of college, but they're like 27. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No,
So,
yeah.
like, you don't know. Like, you shouldn't think of it, you know, and I don't want to say, like, oh, you don't have to do college the first 4 years right after high school, or you do. You know, it's different for everybody. And
Yeah.
I respect, you know, that sometimes people feel like, well, I need to take the semester off to figure out what I really want to do, because it's hard when you get to the point of feeling like, oh, I wasted a semester and now I'm changing my major and this and that. It's my third time changing it. I know it's not easy, but at the end of the day, as long as you're doing it for the right intentions, I think it's good. Because I know people that also don't, you know, didn't go their second year of college because they just weren't doing good the first year and they didn't like it, but then they came back the third year and then they just didn't do good again. So, like, I get it. It was hard the first year, so you want to take a break. But if you didn't change anything the third year that you went back for your second year, what was the point?
Yeah. I mean, college just wasn't my interest. It wasn't.
I'm jealous, by the way.
It wasn't for me. Like, I hated school. I never liked school. I did it because I had to do it. And that's what I always got. That's the speech I always got from my parents. Oh, we all had to do it. Go to school, whatever. All right, now I don't have to. It's not forced upon me.
I just want to say this because it's really, like, inspiring to me, but also like a wake-up call kind of thing. I'm the first person in my family generation to go to college.
That's awesome.
You know, I was the first to graduate high school too. So, like, when that happened, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
They look at you like a god.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But my dad, you know, my mom doesn't work. She takes care of the house, and she took care of me and my brother growing up. My dad's been the only one that's been working, and he's been able to, you know, pay for all these things, all these costs, move us to America. You know, we just bought our first house. You know, I have my own room.
It's
my brother
inspiring.
That's what I'm saying. And he didn't go to college. He didn't graduate high school. I know people say, well, it was different back then, and it really was, because now it's going to become more of like jobs will now require you to have a degree.
Bro, it's so stupid. Receptionists need a degree.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there are jobs where, of course, you need that college degree because you're learning the things in college that you're going to be doing in the job. But a lot of those jobs can also just provide like internship type things for people where they could just learn what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, they shouldn't have to do 4 years of schooling and then only be using maybe one semester's worth of actual work that they're doing in the job.
Bro, yeah, it's so crazy. That's kind of like, I never saw a major like at any college that I was like, wow, I'm going to take this major and I'm going to use it to my advantage. Like, there's no major in college besides like becoming a nurse or doctor, mathematician. There's nothing in college that I see where I can do well, that I can like, yeah, I'm going to take this information and translate it. Because, like, I don't know, like, you, for instance, with media, you can take that and be like, oh shit, like, I was forced to do this type of cut, and now I'm going to make a YouTube video. Let me bring that cut back. That's going to be a really nice addition to this video.
Man, like, that's one thing. Like, I've learned so much from my major, and I'm so happy I made the decision back in my first semester of college when I did just change from electrical engineering.
I remember that. I remember that
and
shit.
I tell that to people all the time because, like, I always get because I'm in an honors program at the school.
Oh yeah, you're still in that. Nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's like we have a certain amount of community service hours and like extracurricular things we need to do every semester, and I meet up with people in the program that like have to do it like me.
Yeah.
And I see people that are sophomores and freshmen, and they're like asking us because we're the juniors and seniors, you know, like, oh, you know, like, what are you doing with your major? This and that. Like, I still didn't decide. And I told them, like, listen, I was for junior and senior year of high school, I was like, I'm doing engineering. Like, it's set. I was set. You know, I was passionate. Yeah. I was like, you know, it's going to be, you know, Con Edison is going to be Con Elia when I graduate. You know, I was set on it. But then one semester in, you know, the workload, I want to say, is fair because I know people think, oh, well, you dropped it because engineering's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but
it's doable.
It's work. Everything you're doing is work. It becomes either something you enjoy or don't, and I just didn't enjoy it. Yeah, I could not see myself doing that for the rest of my life. Yeah. And I just made the change, and it was the best one of the best decisions I've ever made. Honestly,
that's sick. That's so dope.
Like, because now I'm, you know, 5th semester in. Yeah, and I've learned more than I ever thought I would learn, and my mindset has just changed dramatically about everything I do in my life, and it's for the better. You know, even if I don't end up, you know, taking a career in this major and, like, you know, I become like a firefighter or something, or some kind of city job, I'm still gonna have all this knowledge, and I'm still gonna be that person.
And if you become a firefighter, you could easily make tons of videos.
Yeah, right. You have all that free time.
Yeah, you're working like 3 or 4 days a week. It's crazy. But yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up. You want to guess how long we've been going?
I don't know. I want to say 40 minutes.
Nah, yeah, we're at 56 minutes right now. God. Literally just turned to 56.
Nice.
Yeah, long.
How long are they usually?
I mean, it depends.
It's like 5 minutes.
It really, I mean, like, we kind of just went off on a tangent after we kind of got to the question. But I mean, the one with my sister, she talks so much. So like that was also like 50 minutes. Joe's was, I'm pretty sure, in like 45 or something like that. So I kind of want to keep it around that range. Yeah, like, you could literally listen to this like a few like you could go to CSI right now. Right. Drive there, listen to half of it, drive home, listen to the other half, and it's done. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, do you have another fact, or do you want me to pull one out?
Honestly, I don't want to BS it, so I'm just gonna give it to you.
Okay. This is the first one that came up. Really weird. North Korea and Cuba are the only places you can't buy Coca-Cola.
Really?
Yeah, I guess they're against soda, but like it's only
no. You know what's funny? A little thing I want to just add.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Coca-Cola and McDonald's, I think, are like two things that are known worldwide.
Oh, 100%.
You know, but like what? Like, this is just a question for you guys at home. You know, what's something else that you think you can go to any part of the country and people know what it is?
You mean any part of the world?
Oh, world. Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know.
You know?
Probably. I mean, the only thing I could pop into my head is soccer.
Okay. Like, so football then.
Football.
Yeah, football.
Maybe if I say like Messi and Ronaldo, like, that's it. But like I can't go to like fucking Asia. Well, I don't know. Maybe like a different. Maybe like Poland. I go to Poland. I can't be like, yo, LeBron James. They'll be like, who? LeBron? LeBron who?
Like, I don't speak French, you know? Like,
exactly, yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, bro.
Of course. It was great being here. Thank you so much.
Of course. We'll get you on again in the future.
Sounds great.